4D Kanga and Roo acrylic nail art tutorial by Hotpinkzebrapolish. Hi guys, in today's video I'm going to be showing you a cute Kanga and Roo 4D design from Winnie the Pooh. So this has Kanga, just looks like Kanga on the nail, but then Roo can pop out of her pouch or go back in. Either way, there's a little piece of wire underneath the nail that you can use to control Roo and take him either in and out of the pouch. It is so fun. I think it's easier than it looks, so I hope you guys like it, and don't forget to click subscribe, see all my future videos as well. So to begin with, I'm going to start with an overlay of a light blue acrylic. With this, you could pretty much go with any sort of pastel color, but I wanted to go with a light blue since it would tie in with Roo's, with his shirt, since it's blue. So I figured blue would look good, just keeping it all sort of in that same color scheme. So after you have that first layer down, go ahead and encase the entire nail with a layer of clear acrylic. This is really where the strength comes in. It is super important to have a layer of clear acrylic on any of your nails just because it is the strongest color, because there's no pigment or glitter or anything getting in the way of the polymers interlocking and creating a really strong oligomer. So then I'm going to be filing the nail into shape with my E-file. So I just started with a coarse bit just to remove any bulk and get rid of anything that's really not quite right, and then remove any scratches from that first file with a much finer bit. Just go over it and smooth over the entire surface texture. So now I'm going to be sculpting Kanga's body and her head with brown acrylic. Now when you're doing this, you are not sculpting out her pouch. Her pouch is done separately. This is just the brown portion of her body to start with. So just begin with, she's got a very teardrop shaped body, so just start with a really wide base and then have it come up to a point where her neck is. So just start with that, and you kind of, whenever you're creating these characters, I know this is something that every once in a while somebody asks me about breaking down an image. It's not always easy to be able to tell where to start with. If you are sculpting something and you're like, I'm just not quite sure how I begin. If there's a character, this is mostly for characters. If there's a character that you're not sure how to sculpt, Google how to draw them. If it's a character that's well known, there's going to be drawing tutorials out there. And whatever shape is drawn first, that's the shape you're going to sculpt first. Because if you find, I know that one of my favorite websites back when I was learning how to art is called Drago Art. It's remarkable. They have all kinds of drawing tutorials, and looking at a drawing tutorial is going to help your sculpting. So I just wanted to say that quick because I get questions. How do you break down an image? That's something that's, I think, pretty instinctual. So you have to kind of go through it and figure it out for yourself to an extent. But watching these videos and watching somebody else that has it broke down for you, or looking at drawing tutorials where it's already broken down, kind of gives you that instinctual background. So you have some knowledge as to how it happens to be able to do it yourself. So anyways, I now have Kanga's hips and feet and head and ears. And sorry, I was just yammering on top of that, but it's all of it was that dark brown color. Now you're going to need to add her tummy. Now I'm using a light, like tan peach color. This color reminds me a lot of like an orange smoothie. It's kind of the color that I'm going with here. But just do this, create very, very thin. At this point, even though it is 3D, you want the area, especially on her chest, on her tummy, to be extremely thin because there's a lot that's going to be happening on top of it because of the way Roo pops out of the pouch. There's got to be a lot of space. So you want to just keep that thin. You also want to add a little bit of that tan color in the ear that is facing forward. And now we're going to sculpt her arms with more of the brown. So to start with, you don't want her arms to be down very low over her tummy, because that again is going to interfere with Roo coming out of the pouch. So the whole idea here, so she's got them kind of tucked up a little bit more than she may sometimes, just to keep them out of the way. So then with a very, very small bit, you're going to create a hole under where her pouch is to create, it's a long skinny hole. It's more of like a groove, but it goes all the way through the nail. This is going to be for the track that Roo is on so that he can pop out of her pouch. So you want it to be as long as it can be underneath where the pouch will be. So just keep carving it out, take out little layer by little layer until it goes all the way through the nail. It does need to go all the way through the nail, however, because the little controller, the little stick that you're using to control Roo, goes through the nail so that you can use it underneath. So now in a nail form backing, we are going to be sculpting Roo, and he's the same colors of the brown and the tan that you used for his mama. So just start out with the same little brown for his head and sculpt it. He's very, very tiny, so I know that there's not a lot of details on him either, which is actually, considering when you're doing a nail like this is a good thing. The great things of older animation is that they're a little bit more simplistic versus the modern animation that is so detailed, gorgeous, but a little bit more work when you're sculpting, especially on a teeny tiny scale. So then I also used blue, which is a darker blue than the background of the nail, but a nice, like a royal blue for his shirt. There's that little tan in the ear. There's really not much tan on him. It's just in his ear. So now bend a piece of wire at a 90-degree angle and glue it to the back of him. So you want it, my nail glue woes. So glue it on just like that, so that's the stick that we'll use to control him. And then on a straw, you're going to be sculpting Kanga's pouch with that same tan acrylic. So you want to create, it's kind of a big U shape that's filled in. So just sculpt it on there. After that's sculpted, you can pop it off and then fit it onto her and try to sculpt it so it's as close to the size of her stomach area as you can. Bear in mind though, make it a little larger than smaller so that if you have to, you can file it to make it smaller, but you can't. It's much harder to add more acrylic to fill it in. So try to just file it until it fits in really, really well. Mine was a little bit wider than she was, but that also made it so that Rue moved really easily. So you kind of have to pick your battles. Place Rue through that groove in the nail so that the wire goes through that hole, and then glue on your pouch. Make sure when you're doing this that you do not get any glue on Rue because he will get stuck. You want to make sure that he stays mobile this whole time. So just bear that in mind, that you don't want to get any acrylic on him or any glue. Now that we're using acrylic again, though, to make sure you don't get any of acrylic on him, and take some of the tan acrylic and go through and just secure the pouch in place. The nail glue is just a temporary hold, so you want to go and you want to add some nail or some acrylic just to fill in any gaps that there might be and really secure that in place. Hold Rue out of the way as much as you can. And so you're going to want to hold him out of the way out of the pouch as much as possible when you're working on the bottom of the pouch so that he doesn't accidentally get any of that on him. So just keep moving him around and keep working on it. Hold him as long as you can, hopefully you're not working on something else at the same time, so that he doesn't accidentally get attached. And continually move him so that he doesn't stick. And then we're going to need to paint all of Kanga's details and all of Rue's details with black paint. So I started out with her nose, her mouth, some outlines, her eyes. The really fun thing with these characters is that they have stitching that's visible. Now you don't really see too much of that on just the brown fur, but you can see the stitching where her stomach, where the tummy material is sewn onto her brown. So she's got little stitching marks here and there all the way down that tan. And then you're going to need to do the outlines on her feet and her legs. And it's kind of a fun style to paint this in. So it's just, yeah, it's a fun little project to work on. I also had a little outline on the top of her tummy. So then get Rue out of the pouch and add his facial features, nose, smile, eyes. Like I said, not too much details, very, very simple, which is a good thing because he's really small. And a couple little highlights with a brighter shade of blue on his shirt. And then apply a layer of gel sealer over the background, over that light blue background. And then cure it. And then apply matte top coat over Kanga. Let that dry completely. Rue is in the pouch. After that's dry 100%, take Rue out of the pouch and apply some matte top coat over him as well. Once again, let him dry completely out of the pouch before you let him go back in. Then I took and I just glued a little bead to the bottom of my wire on the underside just so it felt better to hold. And then you can start playing with it. Like I said, it's so much fun because he pops in and out of the pouch. If you have enough space in there, he goes in and out really easy. So I hope you like this, and please share any recreations with me on Facebook or Instagram. I'd love to see them, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!